Let's close off with the debt service costs, right? You mentioned them a bit earlier, and I bumped into something here. I can't remember the source. I can't see the source of this, but it's one of the reputable organizations that compiled some data, right, on how South Africa spends its money. Top of the list in 2024 was servicing debt, and then basic education, right? In other words, at the top of our spending is debt service costs of 389 billion rands. Coming second after that is basic education. Third is social protection. Fourth is health. And then fifth is community development and other programs. But the main thing here, the highlight, of course, is that as we spend way more on debt service costs than in basic education, in social protection, in health, and so on. So debt service costs, and apparently we take about last time I checked, I think about, was it 20%, 21% of our tax revenues going to, we spend it in servicing the debt. That's
Yeah,
a lot. I mean,
it's
stick to that.
it's 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 an enormous amount. I'm not going to spend too long on this because I know we've got time constraints, but also you've essentially
Yeah.
laid it out there for people. But we are moving in the next few years to around about half a trillion, 500 billion rand a year in debt service costs. You're perfectly correct. We're approaching the 400 billion mark now. That's going to go up in the next few years. This, of course, just pulls resources away from other critical things. There's only one last thing I'll say on this, and people can start trying to wrap their heads around this.
Yeah.
You could argue that we're not actually paying it out of taxes. We're paying a lot of it out of new borrowing, and we borrow. The government borrows, should I say, around about needs to borrow new close to 400 billion rand or 350 billion. That's the deficit, and that's roughly the interest burden. So, in essence, what's going on is that we are borrowing new money to service the interest on old debts. That is the definition of unsustainable. And
Yeah.
so, in the coming years, this has to change, or else South Africa is on the road to a fiscal crisis,
Yeah.
which ultimately has major bearing on the financial system and on the economy as a whole, at least for a while.
Yeah.
Going through a fiscal crisis is a major economic event, and it's very, very serious, and it's something that policymakers need to start taking very, very